Lights, camera, action. Ladies and gentlemen, young and old, it is my absolute pleasure to welcome you all to the Safer Internet Forum 2023, my absolute favorite day of the year. It's also the day when I can announce, drum roll, the publication of our very own DSA, Digital Services Act booklet. Woo, exactly. Everything you always wanted to know about what the Digital Services Act means for people under the age of 18, hopefully in a readable format, not saying the law isn't readable, but you might need a degree to decipher it. You don't need a degree to read this. It's available in English, French, and German online already. All other official translations will follow very soon. And for those of you fortunate enough to be in the room with us, we might even have a copy for you, but I can't promise a copy for everyone. So, that is it basically from me. I am June. I am from the European Commission, and the European Commission is just delighted to host this annual event, bringing people together from all over Europe, all interested, motivated by, committed to creating a safer internet for children. And I wish us all a fantastic day, inspiring, informative, interesting discussions, which I'm sure we're going to have. Now, it's not going to be an official commission-led day. It's not even going to be an adult-led day, because I know young people have been working extremely hard to give us a fantastic day, which is going to be youth-led, practicing what we preach. So I have to hand over to Carl for some housekeeping, and then Carl is going to hand over to our first youth speakers, Ruth and Adrian. So Carl, over to you.
Thank you very much, June, and good morning, everybody. Clearly not a young person just yet. It's a real pleasure to be able to echo June's warm words of welcome to this year's Safer Internet Forum, both here in Brussels in the room, but also to the many colleagues who are joining us online from around the world, and we'll hear more about that later. I think it's quite hard to believe that it is over 12 months ago since many of us were sitting in this very room at last year's event, and so much seems to have happened in that last 12 months in the world of technology and online safety. The arrival of the DSA, as June's already mentioned, huge advances in AI. I think we didn't know what ChatGPT was this time last year. Twitter is now X. Many of you in the room from the Safer Internet Centres will be delighted that Omegle doesn't exist any longer. Yeah, I know, absolutely. And of course, so much more. But I think with such a rapidly changing environment, it makes perfect sense that the title of this year's Safer Internet Forum is Empowering Youth with Skills for that Digital Decade. And I think, to be honest, they're skills that we all need. There's going to be plenty of opportunities to discuss all of this and a lot more throughout the day. Just a couple of housekeeping notices, as June mentioned. So please do have a look at the meeting booklet, which contains huge amounts of information about the various sessions, but also about the speakers and the panelists. And for those of you who are following online, you'll see that there is closed captioning available, and the link to follow that is going to be shared in the chat. For those of you who are here on site, you'll see there's a number of people in the room wearing these orange lanyards. If you need anything throughout the day, please just go and ask somebody with an orange lanyard, and they will be able to help you, I promise. So the good news now is that you don't really have to hear much more from me at all during the day. Those of you who came last year will know that it was a youth-led Safer Internet Forum last year, and that's very much the case again this year. So we've got an amazing youth panel who you will spot around the room, but we also have a youth advisory group who've played a really integral role in the planning and preparation of the event, and now the delivery of the event as well. So without any further ado, they're going to be guiding us through the rest of the day. Let me pass the floor to Ruth and Adrien, who are going to welcome you formally to the Safer Internet Forum. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Carl, and hello, everyone. We are all very excited and honored to be here today. We welcome all of you online and in person to the Safer Internet Forum 2023. Here in this room, we are about 180 people, and there are around 800 people following us online, all from 90 different countries, which are some quite impressive numbers.
Well, our names are Ruth and Adrian, and we are part of the advisory group, which will be guiding you throughout today's event. Some of the things you can expect today are 2 deep dive sessions, 2 panel discussions, a youth-led session by the BIC, and a keynote session. But before all of that, we have a video from the young people of the world, so let's see it.
Social media platforms can be a very useful tool for me to connect with my friends and also to share my opinion, to share my thoughts. But they also have some very negative impact on me because they can be a very time-wasting activity, a very addictive activity.
Positive impact is that I actually found what I'm interested in, and I managed to acquire information that helped me join in conversations that I wouldn't normally be a part of.
O que me incomoda muito no chat online são as formas que as pessoas se tratam, desrespeitando uma outra, xingando. Isso me incomoda muito.
It helps me be able to do my schoolwork quicker because I'm motivated, and the negative it has an impact on me is I sometimes get crabby and I sometimes get angry at my family.
Online gaming may help players increase their thinking speed and problem-solving skills.
Digital literacy and cyber security awareness both go hand in hand when practicing good online safety. Examples such as knowing how to use privacy settings on different apps and creating strong, unique passwords instead of the same one for each account.
Protect your personal data.
Think critically of the information you are viewing. Be careful of the information you share, and connect with the correct people.
Thanks Youth Panel at the Safer Internet Center in Italy, where I'm part of, I had the opportunity to improve my knowledge over during an amazing experience and make my voice matter.
Children and young people with special needs are not able to navigate the internet in the same way. This is why we should take into consideration accessibility and inclusivity.
If we were to get people like journalists to publish information about those who have voices that are often unheard about their troubles and the solution to their problems, billions and billions of people would receive this information.
I think the internet is the best solution for those people because they can make themselves heard on some platforms like Reddit and X. They can be noticeable for their opinions and statements, and given that, can become more helpful among the community.
Papás deben estar alerta sobre qué ven, con quién hablan y cómo se relacionan en Internet sus hijos. Limitar el contenido que consumen puede evitar situaciones muy desafortunadas, como lo es principalmente el grooming.
My rule would be to treat others kindly and respectfully, just like you would in person. Let's say no to harassment, hate speech, and cyberbullying.
Thank you to all the young people who shared their opinions and gave their advice. It's very important that all these voices are heard. We, the young people, are the ones that use the internet the most and the most frequently, and it is great to know that there are so many that care this much about their safety online. That is why we are all very excited to be here today to have the opportunity to talk to and be heard by all of you. Now, we have a video message from the European Vice President for Democracy and Demography, Dubravka Šuica.
Our digital age creates endless opportunities for learning and growth. Internet access is crucial for children. The digital world is a gateway to information and learning opportunities, self-expression and social interaction. With that opportunity come particular challenges and risks. On a global scale, 1 in 3 children has experienced online bullying. In 2020, 33% of girls and 20% of boys in the European Union reported exposure to disturbing content online on a regular basis. Adopting a child rights-based approach to online safety is an imperative for all of us. In the European Union, we work to preserve the right to access the internet for every child while shielding them from potential harm. Respect, empower and protect is therefore our leitmotif. Here, children and young people are part of the solution. They play a fundamental role in shaping a safer online world. The Safer Internet Forum is an example of the essential role of young voices in creating a safer and more inclusive digital environment. It is only by actively and meaningfully involving children and young people that we can fully understand your needs and create a better internet for all kids. And the Better Internet for Kids, we actively engage young people as ambassadors for peer-to-peer activities. Last year, the Safer Internet Center held more than 470 events involving young people across Europe. We are already looking forward to next year, when children will be actively involved in developing the code of conduct on age-appropriate design and in the evaluation of the Better Internet for Kids Plus strategy. I'm also proud to share that, in line with the European Union strategy on the rights of the child, we now have the first European children's participation platform. This platform enables collaboration with the younger generation all across the European Union. And we also need to equip children and young people with digital skills, to impart knowledge on personal data protection, to foster critical thinking, to strengthen digital literacy. I thank the network of Safer Internet Centers and the Better Internet for Kids platform, which collectively reach more than 30 million people in Europe every year. They offer user-friendly material to the public, providing training to children, educators, and parents. In addition, they support children in danger through their helplines and hotlines, with no one left behind. And I warmly congratulate you for this. But we cannot succeed without collaboration across sectors and generations at national, European, and international levels. Industry, in particular, bears a significant responsibility to create products that are user-friendly, safe, and private by default and design. As you will hear from Commissioner Breton, with the Digital Services Act, a new era has started, with stricter rules for all online platforms, including measures to safeguard the privacy, safety, and security of children. And it is our collective responsibility to ensure that every child can benefit from these opportunities without compromising their safety or rights. And I thank you and wish you stimulating discussions.
Well, thank you very much, Commissioner, for such inspiring words. We believe that it is important that those who can make a change and have the power to do it, listen to those who will be affected by these changes, especially those who usually are not listened to enough, such as children and young people. Well, now we will hear from Thierry Bertrand, Commissioner for Internal Market.
Hello everyone, it's a pleasure for me to welcome you all, kids and adults, for the Safer Internet Forum 2023. This is a very special year for online safety. This August, as the kids were going back to school after the summer holiday, large online platforms had their own homework to do. They had to comply with the requirements of the EU's Digital Services Act, the so-called DSA. This means that they had to redesign their system for a high level of privacy, security and safety of minors. Targeted advertising based on profiling towards children is no longer permitted. I'm sure you have already noticed the first changes. Platforms launched new content algorithms and provided a new option to opt out of profiling and to report illegal content, to which platforms are required to respond swiftly and diligently. These are just some examples of impact of the new law, and more will appear as companies step up their compliance. And if firms do not comply, the Commission and Member States can issue fines up to 6% of their global turnover. These rules are an important milestone, a global first. They make Europe a global standard setter. But rules by themselves are not enough. We now have to make them work in practice and deliver meaningful change. Delivering change is about raising awareness, making sure that kids, parents, carers, and teachers understand their rights and know how to act on them. This is why we should bring the DSA to our schools, enabling teachers and educators to amplify the impact of the DSA. Protection and empowerment go hand in hand. Our main goal is to empower children and to help them navigate the internet confidently. Digital skills are essential to make this a reality. By digital skills, I mean both technical competences and online safety skills. So you are competent, confident, and critical also when you are online, now and in the future. And I also mean digital skills to help you in your studies and your career. Remember that digital skills are already needed for 9 out of 10 jobs today. We still have a lot of work to do. According to a recent Eurobarometer, 2/3 of European citizens call for more education and training to develop their digital skills. And this is why I'm pleased that the 2023 Safer Internet Forum, taking place in the Europe Year of Skills, will focus on digital skills for children and young people. So my special thanks go to the Safer Internet Centers, which do such an important job by providing information, training, counseling on child online safety every single day. Today, I count on you all to share your experience and best practices. We must work together across countries and generations to create a better digital world for today and for the future. I wish you an inspiring conference. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Commissioner Breton, for these words. And we believe that these changes will improve the lives and the protection of children on internet and social media. However, as the Commissioner said, there is still a lot of work to do, and it is our duty to make sure that these changes take place and that everybody stays focused on working for a better future.
After all these video messages, we have Amanda Third here in person as our keynote speaker. Amanda is a professorial research fellow in the Institute for Culture and Society, co-director of the Young and Resilient Research Center at Western Sydney University, and a faculty associate in the Berkman Klein Center for Internet and Society at Harvard University. We've had the opportunity to talk to her, and she has some very inspiring things to say, which I'm sure she will continue now. Welcome, Amanda.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you and good morning. It's a really, really great honour to be here on what for me is the other side of the planet and with all of you here today. A very special thanks to our gracious hosts for welcoming all of us who are here in the room and those online. I'm especially excited that over a third of the people in the auditorium today are young people who've been working very hard to prepare in the previous days and months for this event, and I'm really looking forward to the exchanges today. So I want to begin. Oh, I've just realised I don't have a clicker. Where is my clicker? I have a PowerPoint. Oh, that'll do. Great, thank you. It's customary in Australia to acknowledge the traditional custodians of the land on which we work. And in my case, these are the Darug, the Darawal, the Gurungara and the Wiradjuri people, and I want to pay my respects to their elders past and present. As we come together here today to have these important discussions about digital safety and participation, I have in mind the words of the Australian Institute of Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander Studies Council Chair, Professor Michael McDaniel, who reminds us that when we come together we should act with honour, respect and wisdom, to go slowly and to act responsibly, to be gentle and polite and honest with each other, and to be careful of the words and actions we put out to the world, and to understand the impact that we have. So, in honour of the European Year of Skills, I've been asked to talk to you about the kinds of skills that children and young people might need to participate safely and positively in the digital environment. And this is happening, of course, as we've just heard, at the very moment that European organisations and entities are considering how to achieve the goals of the Digital Decade Strategy, the EU Strategy on the Rights of the Child, and the European Strategy for a Better Internet for Kids. These conversations are especially timely because as the EU is looking towards the introduction of some important and far-reaching regulatory instruments, including, for example, the Digital Services Act. So there's a lot that could be said about the skills that might be needed in and for the digital environment today. And I'm going to take my lead in today's talk from children and young people themselves. And we've been talking with my team and others to children and young people in various parts of the world. And what they've told us is that there are 5, so pay attention for this, there are 5 top skills or capacities that they believe are really, really important for them to be able to participate safely and productively in a world that's shaped by digital technology. So I'm going to really briefly reflect on what we need to do. I'm going to reflect on what those 5 skills are and then to just make some comments about what I think we might need to do in order to support children to develop these skills. I'm going to use the term children to refer to children and young people under the age of 18, taking my inspiration from the Convention on the Rights of the Child. So, next slide. Here. So in sharing the skills that children say are important, I'm going to draw on a body of in-depth qualitative research that's been led by the Young and Resilient Research Centre at Western Sydney University, and which has worked with over 6,000 children in 79 countries, but with the very generous support and expertise of over 130 child-facing organisations, primarily in the Global South. And this work, probably much like yours, is guided by a child rights approach, and it seeks to harness digital technology in support of children's resilience and well-being. It's also committed to working closely with and honouring the perspectives of children as we work out how to mitigate the risks of harm in the digital environment, but also how to maximise the benefits. So in particular, I've taken inspiration from the 3 studies you can see here on the screen, which were undertaken with children in my part of the world, that is the bottom part of the world. But I think they provide us with some interesting food for thought, which is why I focus on them today. So firstly, why I want to just have a little think about why skills are important for the digital environment. Colleagues at EU Kids Online and Global Kids Online have developed this idea of the ladder of digital participation. And their work suggests that there's a kind of a hierarchy of activities ranging from more entry-level to higher-order critical, creative and evaluative skills. And that as they spend more time online, children move from the bottom of the ladder, taking on more diverse activities and becoming ever more sophisticated users of digital technology. And this development of activities and skills follows a more or less predictable pattern. So we see children at age sort of 9 to 12 if you can click for me, please. They begin by doing activities such as listening to music and watching videos, things that we, playing games, things that we sort of know younger users are doing. And then as they move up the ladder, if you can click all the way through, they begin to take on a greater variety of activities, and in doing so, they refine their skills. So the idea is that as they sort of move up the ladder, they're becoming more skilled users. So importantly though, as Haddon and colleagues have shown, having better skills leads to encountering more risks online, but not, interestingly, to more harms. Because obviously children are developing the skills and protective behaviours they need to keep themselves safe. And as Livingston and colleagues have found, the more activities that children do online, the more skills they develop, and the more likely it is that they're going to encounter opportunities and thereby, we hope, reap the benefits. So while it's not always an admirable thing to climb the ladder, young people, in this case it definitely is. Climbing the ladder of digital participation is a great thing. But the challenge for us is that very few children and young people reach the top of the ladder. Very few children undertake the kinds of activities online that really develop and deepen their skills, particularly their creative and critical capacities. Things like making their own content, building apps or games, and these kinds of things. So there's a lot of scope, you might say, to encourage children and young people to take on a wider variety of activities and to really nurture and grow their skills. So how can we nurture these skills, both in formal educational settings and also in the everyday contexts and interactions that children and young people undertake? So last year, my colleagues and I partnered with Project Rocket, which is Australia's youth-led movement against bullying and hate across online and offline spaces, and also the eSafety Commissioner's Office, to conduct a bit of a pulse check with 50 children aged 10 to 18 to see what they think about online safety education and how it's impacting them. And what I want to do is just to briefly use this study to reflect on the kinds of skills that children say they want to learn. So we trained young researchers to run in-depth qualitative workshops with children, and children told us basically that whilst there's some good online safety education around, actually the majority of it is significantly missing the mark. So why is that so? What did they tell us? Firstly, in terms of the content, the majority of online safety education, they said, tends to be issue-based, and it focuses in on very extreme risks, the kinds of things that all of us who are here today know do happen to children, and far too often. But children's sense of the risks is different. They know that serious things like child sexual exploitation can happen, but the things that they tend to worry about are much more localised and social risks of harm, right? Things that happen to them in a sort of everyday, low-level kind of way. They worry about things that might go wrong between them and their friends and how they're going to handle those challenging interactions. Secondly, they said, the majority of online safety education still sharply distinguishes between the online and the offline, and this just really does not resonate for children, right? They move flexibly across online and offline spaces, integrating their technology use into their everyday face-to-face worlds, and vice versa. And so they want skills to handle harms across online and offline spaces, and what they said is that online safety education tends to cleave the offline from the rest of the world and really focus tightly, and it misses the point. And thirdly, in terms of the skills that they learn, they say that online safety education tends to teach them very technical, instrumentalised skills, right? Like how to block someone, how to report something, and so on. And when what they are wanting and looking for are the softer, more transferable skills that are grounded in social and emotional intelligences and also in citizenship and values. So rather than learning about, for example, how to respond to cyberbullying, what they want to learn about is how to connect and interact safely and respectfully, both with known and unknown others. And traditional online safety education gives them the feeling, unfortunately, that adults really don't get it, right? When they say to them, for example, don't connect with strangers online, they know that they go online, and actually a lot of the time there are strangers online that they interact with. And when we tell them not to interact with strangers, they have this feeling that really adults don't get it, and this means that they're less likely to reach out for help from significant adults when they do run into trouble. So I guess you could say that online safety is really contributing to a kind of intergenerational misunderstanding. So children's sense then in this study was very much so that we need to flip the model. And we need to do that by decentering extreme risks, and so that's these small blue circles, and really addressing the lower level everyday risks that children and young people encounter. And by addressing those risks, we can really begin to connect up why we need to also worry about the more serious risks with children's lived experience. They also said that we need to flip the skills. So instead of teaching primarily technical skills as we do in the conventional model, to teach them these digital capacities, which I'm about to summarise for you in a moment. And the technical skills are kind of things that you practice once you've got these higher order skills. Right, so the idea then is that we're teaching digital capacities rather than skills, and that these capacities are things that span online and offline spaces. All right, so what skills did young people say are important for the digital environment? What do they want us to teach them? So I'm going to flip through these quite quickly. Thank you. Communication basically is one of the skills that they're really looking for. They're looking to learn how to communicate their ideas and their opinions effectively and in ways that will land with other people and cause the kinds of conversations that they'd like to have. But importantly for young people, it's not just about projecting out into the world, but also learning to listen well, to listen carefully, attentively, and to respond in humane ways to the people they listen to. They'd also like to develop robust relationships. So children really value respectful relationships that are built on mutual respect, trust, honesty, and acceptance. And they really understand that these kinds of relationships are critical to their capacity to flourish. So they want to develop the capacity to nurture relationships with online dimensions that are respectful, supportive, and helpful, even if at times they become very challenging. And importantly, they want to be able to learn how to give and to receive support and help. They have a very strong ethic of looking after one another when we let them grow that. Children also say that boundaries are really essential to establishing their identities and respectful relationships. So they really want to learn how to establish these and how to maintain them and respect them. And this entails also being able to communicate one's needs very clearly and respect the needs of others. Resilience is another, we're going to thinking critically. So they want to learn how to assess, make sense of, and evaluate the content that they come across online. And this might be content that other young people are making, but equally it might be news or other kinds of text. They're really craving these opportunities to develop their critical thinking skills. And last of all, they want to learn to be resilient. And here, I think there's a sense that they live in a challenging world, and that they want to be able to face that world with bravery and with confidence. They want to learn that when they fail, they can get back up and keep going. And And I think importantly, they want to learn how to use adversity to grow. So you can see these are 5 capacities that children are, that really not only support children's development and engagement in online spaces, but also are useful across into the so-called face-to-face world. They're also skills and capacities that build on children's strengths and enable them not only to mitigate risks, but also to maximise the opportunities and benefits that are available to them through the digital environment. Okay, so here we are. You can see here digital capacities. These are the 5 in summary, and I think, as I said, really thinking here about how these capacities build children's protection, participation, and empowerment. All right, so what do children need from adults? Or what do adults need to do? So these calls to action, or these calls for specific capacities, need to be grounded, I guess, they need to be supported by adults. And children are calling on adults, whether they be parents and educators or the decision makers who are making the regulation, building the legislative structures that support their digital practices. So they say that there are a handful of things that they really want adults to do. First of all, time. So they say that what they want is the time to participate online. For children, developing skills does take time. And indeed, in a recent study that we did where we asked children about their creative practices online, we asked them, well, what's the biggest barrier to you developing your creative skills? And they said that it was their parents telling them to disconnect. So children say that when they're online, the timer is on. Someone is always just about to tell them to get off that device. The mainstream media is warning parents daily about excess screen time and the threats of addiction and so on. We've got this real energy around time. But developing skills does take time, and children need time online in order to be able to really develop their skills. Children also say that they need encouragement. They say that adults are far too often dismissive of the kinds of things that they do online. They don't understand the significance of socialising or learning or creating or indeed just having fun. And they really want adults to try and get with the program, understand where they're coming from, and to encourage them to embrace digital technology. And trust. All around the world, when we speak to children and young people, they tell us that the number one thing they want from adults is to be trusted. Now, they know that they're going to make mistakes, but they want to be given the opportunity to explore and to know that the adults around them are supporting them. And they also want to be able to trust adults, trust governments, platforms, organisations and institutions to do the right thing by them. And indeed, they are calling on those people to do more to keep them safe. They also want hope, empathy and action. So, in terms of empathy, listening to children and young people, this entails listening to children and young people, reflecting on their experiences and trying to understand where they come from. This means, from an adult perspective, not that we don't jump to conclusions about who children are, what they do online, how they're affected, or indeed what their aspirations might be. It's about talking routinely and with open hearts and open minds with children. In terms of action, children don't just want adults to listen, they want them to do things. They want them to listen and respond, to support them, to take hold of the opportunities that are in front of them. So how do we need to move forward then? I really want to emphasise that we need to stay focused on keeping children safe online. This is really critical, and we cannot stop the work that we are doing to keep children safe. And it remains as true as ever that we need all of the key components of the ecosystem to work hard and together to keep every child safe in the digital environment. And our work is very far from done. But I think the time is right for us to move beyond the fear that has tended to characterise our approaches to thinking about the impacts of digital technology on children. I think we're approaching a moment when we can think much more expansively about the ways that we approach skilling children to stay safe online, to really move from a strictly protective approach to one that capitalises on children's participation in order to strengthen their capacity for online engagement. And I think this turning point is made possible by the push for regulation that has finally come to fruition, finally surfaced with growing intensity all around the world, and which in particular we're seeing take concrete shape here in the EU. Let me explain the significance of this by taking a quick detour back through 1960s child psychology. Are you belted in? Ready? Okay. We're going to turn to the work of Donald Winnicott, which is a bit of an odd choice, but just follow me. You might have heard of Winnicott. He's one of the key psychologists who's known for the field of theory known as attachment theory. So those of you who work in child development will know that this has become a very ordinary and accepted body of work in child psychology and wellbeing today. But back in the 1960s, Donald Winnicott was concerned with understanding how children move from being human beings who are very dependent on their mothers to independent, self-sufficient, and experiencing human beings. To explain this, he turned to the relationship between a mother and a child, and he wanted to look at the ways that the mother creates a kind of a safe, emotional and physical environment that supports the child's development and growth to independence. Winnicott theorised that a mother, and here, I do want to note that he was a little bit idealistic in the 1960s about mothers, but let's forgive him for that for the moment. But he said that mothers with their children create and watch over these secure environments. They create a space between them where the mother guarantees a safe and secure environment, what he calls a holding space, a space from which the growing child can, over time, progressively venture further and further away along a radius from the mother to explore their world, but always with the possibility of looking back to the mother for her reassurance. Thanks. The holding space is safe, but imperfect and uncomfortable. It's a learning space, right? For Winnicott, this is really important. It's about learning. It's about taking risks. It's about moving further and further away from the mother, exploring and experimenting. So it's a learning space. It's oriented to curiosity. It's oriented to risk, and ultimately it's oriented to the child's independence. And it's a space that has these kind of flexible boundaries, right, that extend as the child learns how to be in the world and take care of themselves. The boundaries extend outwards and outwards, right? It's a nice way of thinking about how to cater for the evolving capacities of a child. Now, this metaphor for security, I think, is really helpful in making sense of where we've landed in the online safety space. If I think about it, if I think about why we've been so panicked about how technology is shaping children's lives, it's because we really haven't had the holding space, the security of a holding space. Up until recently, we haven't had our mother figure in place to ensure that we can think about how to enable children to venture further into the digital environment, to confront risk and to grow to independence. And I think this shift has been caused by regulation. That certainty of having the regulation in the background offers us a new opportunity to move away from thinking about protection in a very minimalist sense to thinking about protection hand in hand with participation. Right? And I think this has enormous potential for our capacity to guarantee that online environments can rule out the very worst possible harms and make room for children to grow up in safe, secure environments ready to tackle the challenges that lie ahead. So we're now seeing governments all around the world taking those steps, enabling us to the necessary certainty to turn in earnest to the question of how to really enrich children's lives in relation to the digital environment. And I think it's really important that we seize this moment to rethink what we do and how we do it and why. But I also don't think this is the only way that the idea of the holding space can be useful to us. Indeed, my challenge to you today is to think with this idea of the holding space about how else we might, approach online safety for children and young people. How can we create holding spaces for children to develop their aptitudes and capacities online? How can we hold spaces how can we create holding spaces that grow with them and equip them to face the future with confidence, knowing that they have what they need to make a good life for themselves, for their communities, and for their planet? We know that when children have agency, when they can make decisions about what happens to them, meaningful choices, then they're more likely to flourish, right? Their well-being soars. So how could we think with the idea of the holding space about how to create environments in which children can learn to exercise agency and to grow as they exercise their agency? And how can we support schools, but also the informal spaces where children develop their skills to do this? All right, so we might say that the value of interacting with technology far exceeds the immediate benefits that it facilitates. Yes, we can use it to learn. We can use it to explore, to interact. You can use it to do things quickly, to make things. But digital technology also provides us with opportunities to dream and to imagine ourselves in different ways. And one very quick last example that requires you to imagine again with me. So back in the 19th century, the activity of sitting down to read the morning newspaper, the national morning newspaper, was not only about updating humans about things that were happening in the world, but also about encouraging them to imagine themselves as citizens of the nation, right? The newspaper was one way that people learned to imagine themselves as citizens of a nation, right? They projected themselves into this idea of the nation. Now, and this is really significant because, of course, the idea of the nation went on to transform Europe really significantly, right? Not always for good, let's say, but it did have a profound effect. If we read our digital present through this idea, an extraordinary possibility becomes obvious to us. What is the equivalent of reading the national newspaper today for children growing up in the digital environment? It is using digital technology. And for the very first time in history, if you think about this, for the very first time in history, using their technology, children can think of themselves as members of a global political constituency, right? They can imagine themselves as united with children all around the world. And I think this is a really amazing potential that we haven't thought about enough. And indeed, what we're seeing is we're seeing children take up this opportunity. We're seeing them rally together using digital technology to call for change on issues that they care about, which really matter to them. And they're using technology across national borders and taking up very important causes. And it seems to me that with the right structures to keep them safe and supported, children can be a very big part of radically reinventing a world that urgently needs reinvention. So to this end, supporting children's skills development and unleashing that potential seems to me to be one of the very most important things that we can do. And it's the perfect challenge for the group that's gathered here today. Thank you.
We don't go down just yet, Amanda, because, well, thank you. I think we can all agree that these were amazing and inspiring words. But now we will let people both here and those who are online to ask questions, as I know I'm sure they will have many.
Are there any questions? Anybody here? Yes, there in the back.
Oh yes, should I start? Okay, thanks a lot for your inspiring words. There's a lot to think about now for us, I think, but one particular question is you said the skills development starts around the age of 9 to 12, and we observe that the experiences already start now in early childhood. So what about the skills development in early childhood? Do you have any comments on this? Thank you.
Yes, no, it's a really super important point, and I didn't mean to suggest that that children only start learning at age 9. That was just simply the piece of research that I was referring to. But of course, children are developing skills from a very, very young age, and I think, you know, it's really critical that we are thinking about their skill development in a very close way. Because, of course, young children, when they're left alone with technology, can be exposed to sorts of forms of risk that are really terribly inappropriate. But I think we also don't know quite enough about child development at the younger years of the spectrum, and there really needs to be a big push internationally to study the ways that children are taking up technology in different cultures around the world. I'm aware, for example, that in Norway, a child gets a mobile phone at the average age of 6, whereas in Australia it's 12. And so these are very different environments, and we really need to get on top of the younger years to understand them in greater depth. Yeah.
Thank you.
Hello. Hi, Amanda. It's Niels here in the back on your right. Hi. Yeah, in Belgium, the age of the for the other people, I'm from the Belgian Safer Internet Center, Niels. And in Belgium, the average age of a first smartphone is 8 and a little bit. And this changed a lot because in 2018 it was still 12. So our pedagogical messages that we are sending out, for example, talking about integrity, even sexual integrity with like 12-year-olds, you can already have this conversation. But now we need to make these prevention messages applicable to 8-year-olds, and it's a struggle. I think we are all struggling with this. Like, how do we talk about certain topics that maybe some kids are not ready for, but they still need to learn about it? And now we are reaching out to, for example, developmental psychologists. But they also don't really have the answers, and I was looking forward if you maybe have some answers for this, or or some researchers that I should contact. Thank you.
Thanks, Niels. No, and I do think this is a really big gap, and it's one example of the ways that online safety, you know, often we're trying to retrofit things as the technology is already galloping ahead of us. So we do need to really think about how to future-proof our online safety strategies with things shifting and changing so quickly. And I think what I heard young people in the study I referred to during my talk really saying very clearly is that we really need to need the kind of more human, softer, transferable skills to really come to the fore in our education. And this can start very, very young, right? What does it mean to be a good person when you're online? What are the values that we have as a family that we want to see you reinforce when you're online? You know, et cetera, et cetera. I mean, acknowledging also that not every child has a very loving and supportive family, and that's another set of questions that we need to address, obviously, and a lot of people in the room are doing some very good work around that. But I do think it's not about the technical skills, it's not about the instrumental skills, it's really about teaching children, you know, what families do teach children, which is how to be a good human being, right?
Yeah. Thank you, Amanda, and all of you. Unfortunately, right now we do not have time for any other questions. But since everything that you've said is so very interesting and there are more questions, Amanda will be back later at the end of the day for the last panel.
And now we pass the microphone to our partners Ingeborg and Selma, who will present the plenary panel discussion.
Okay, hello everybody. How are you doing?
I hope everyone is ready for our first panel. Please get comfortable, and we're going to embark on a journey full of ideas and practices, and I'm really excited to be here. By the way, I'm Selma, I'm from the Czech Republic, and I'm going to be the co-host of this panel.
I'm Ingeborg, I'm from Norway, and I'm Selma.
Great, let's get started.
So, with us today we have Renate Nicolai, the Deputy Director at DG Connect. We also have Ligia Azevedo from the Ministry of Education in Portugal, and Anne Becker, the Senior Vice President of Policy and Public Affairs at Video Games Europe.
Welcome everyone again, and we're very, very pleased to have you here. So my first question is, could you introduce yourself very briefly so that the audience knows who you are? And then also, could you tell us one priority that you are currently focusing on and one challenge that comes with it? We can start perhaps with Renate.
Yes, good morning. It's great for me to be here. I'm Deputy Director General in DG Connect, so the service in the Commission that supports the work of the forum, that supports the work of the Better Internet for Kids strategy, but also the service that has become the digital sheriff with the new platform rules. And I'm overseeing that work. My key priority at the moment, building also on what we heard as messages from Commissioner Breton, is that we have to kind of fill with life the key moment that we are living in Europe now, that we are in a situation where we are fortunate enough to have clear, strong platform rules under the Digital Services Act and the Digital Markets Act. They have given promises to the citizens of Europe that there will be more protection, more safety, more fairness online, and with a very strong focus also on the protection of minors online. So my key challenge at the moment, and of the colleagues that are working with me in day-to-day basis on the enforcement of these rules, is to really make sure they make a difference on the ground. And what I'm observing is, as the Commissioner has said, there are already actions. I mean, some of the platforms have changed their algorithms already. They have changed the kind of possibilities for you to opt out. They have changed the kind of the profiles to make them private by design. So things that they could have done long ago, but probably that were triggered now because there are the rules and we are watching them. But we don't stand still. We don't simply let them do. We also have, we're engaging in discussions with them. We have sent requests for information to some of them over the last week to understand a bit better, because they had to present to us first risk assessments to understand better what concrete systems they have built to really ensure that they deliver what the DSA says, better protection, better privacy protection, better safety protection for minors, and we will not hesitate to kind of follow suit. A challenge is to keep that momentum, not to let it go, and to really show day by day that we mean what we have said in the law.
Thank you very much. Alicia?
Thank you, Selma. My name is Ligia, and I belong to the Portuguese Ministry of Education. And I would like to mention that Maria João Horta, the Deputy Director General for Education, could not be here due to healthy reasons. Nevertheless, I would like to share some measures and policy that are being implemented. So in Portugal, the digital area is a priority, highlighting mainly the investment in the school digital transition. It is important to note that Portuguese students have received a laptop with internet connection, and all schools have a digital development action plan in place. In addition, all Portuguese teachers have received training in digital competencies based to their proficiency levels, providing students with computers, and to ensure that everyone has an equal opportunity to take advantage of technology benefits in education, promoting equality, and preparing students for the challenge of digital world. We are focused on creating environments and conditions that enable the development of quality learning and for all students with a special attention for children in the vulnerable conditions. With the development of this digital resource and equipment use, there is a need to create conditions for safe and critical and healthy use of digital environments. Well-being issues are crucial for us, and we know that we'll still have a long way, and we will continue working in this dimension. Thank you.
Thank you. And lastly, Anne.
Thank you, Selma. This is great. My daughter's name is Selma, so I'm very excited to be sitting next to you. I don't meet other Selmas every day, so yeah. My name is Anne. I work for Video Games Europe. So we represent national trade associations across Europe in many different countries, and we also have the direct membership of some of the leading European and international video game companies. So just a little bit what I'm doing in my day work. But I just wanted to thank the Commission, the Safer Internet Centers, the Big Youth Panel, because I think it's great to have this forum annually. I've been here previous years, and I just think we learn so much from these days. And also hearing from the Big Youth Panel of, how are you living the digital world, and what are your requests, I think, also to us as an industry. In terms of priorities for us, Renata, you mentioned the DSA. So of course that is a big priority, not only for video game companies, but I think every company that is active online is of course now actively looking at preparing compliance with the DSA. I think you have some further questions for us, so we can speak about that a little bit more in detail. In terms of immediate priorities for us, it's actually that we are currently at Video Games Europe. We are preparing our end-of-year campaign called Seize the Controls, which is a campaign that will be launched across Europe, and we also hope with the collaboration with the Safer Internet Centers on continuing our mission also to inform parents and carers, players, about the importance of good and responsible play. So just an early advancement. It's being launched on the 11th of December.
Amazing. Thank you so much for your answers. Just before we embark on the first question, I would like to remind you of the 3-minute rule so that we kind of get everything done in time.
So, Renata, in Amanda's keynote, we heard about the range of skills children and young people need in the digital world. Can you talk about the main European Commission's initiatives within this context? What are you doing to foster digital skills, and how does this work in practice?
Yes, it is actually a very good day to talk about that, because whilst we are having the forum here, education ministers are coming together in the council and will adopt recommendations on digital skills and digital education and training. And this is very much kind of building on the Better Internet for Kids strategy. It's building on the idea of dedicating this year as the year of skills. And of course also on the broader kind of context that we have given ourselves in the European Union with the Digital Decade policy program, where we have given ourselves targets for 2030, where we want to have really digital education for the majority of the population. Of course, combined also with digital upskilling and kind of having ICT experts that we also need, of course, from a business angle. But I think so. What I would say is that we have definitely identified that as a key political item. I think Europe has a role to play here. We don't have a lot of kind of direct competence when it comes to education, but we can certainly stimulate debate amongst the member states, which is exactly what is happening today, which is really picking up. And we can kind of create the kind of atmosphere to share best practices. Just to give you an example, following the Digital Decade Policy Report that we issued for the first time in September, I chaired a kind of a meeting with all the member states representatives who have worked on that, and we looked at what are the key challenges that they now see 1 year after we had agreed on these 2030 targets. And the key challenges were connectivity, because of course you need super connectivity to allow the digital transition and for all of us to be participants in it. But the other was digital skills. And that is really, you know, a big theme. It's not only about ICT experts, it's really kind of digital education. It's the role of the young generation, but also the adults, bringing the parents in, bringing the kind of the schools in. And we heard a lot of that also in the speech of Amanda. And that's why I think it's also good that when we are having the the education ministers in town today, they will also pick up an initiative that we launched with the entry into force of the DSA rules to bring the DSA to school. So this is an initiative that I think we can build into the Better Internets for Kids strategy and work with the safer internet centers that are present here, that we use the opportunity of the new rules to also kind of increase the awareness in schools for teachers, give them the booklet that you have seen, educate them so that there can be debates in schools, and that maybe also pupils in school in the future will be more aware of their rights and will also kind of use that to kind of turn to teachers, to turn to counselors, turn to their parents to actually make them more and more easily and earlier aware of things that might happen and might be harmful for them.
Great, thank you so much for giving us this perspective. My next question goes to Ligia. Maybe you can tell us more about the local perspective. So from a Portuguese point of view, do you feel that the education system is ready to equip children with the necessary skills to navigate the digital landscape? Oops. And what are the main priorities and challenges you see at more of a national level?
Thank you, Selma. As we well know, educational systems are extremely complex entities, and daily we face with new and often unexpected challenge. One of our greatest advantage in Portugal is that we have been investing in the digital field for many years. One of our greatest, for a long time, we have been running awareness campaigns, resource development for several target groups, children, families, teachers, school leaders, and others. Special emphasizing the importance here is the teachers' training. Regarding digital citizenship education, we highlight that the Portuguese Ministry of Education has implemented several actions and initiatives to promote healthy and safety practice among students, like digital leaders. Today we are very well represented with our 4 Portuguese students, and promoting well-being online is a task that demands continuity, especially because the challenges in this field are increasingly demanding. Regarding your second question, our main priorities and challenge is to keep students safety and healthy in the digital environment and cover a range of crucial areas. In addition, we want to highlight the importance of empowering and raising awareness among students and working with different entities, among which we highlight those responsible for support service, such as helplines and hotlines, the industry to develop tools and technology that promote safe digital environments, and also academy to research and develop in innovative practice to keep students safe in digital age. We emphasize the growing challenge of addressing well-being issues. We are currently promoting a national debate on the most appropriate age to introduce screens in the learning process. There are new challenges that we face, and we also require support from academy and research to make the best decisions.
Thank you very much. So, my next question goes to you, Anne. The games industry is often at the forefront of the adoption of the innovative tech, with video games playing an important role in children and young people's personal lives. In your view, what are the skills children and young people can gain from playing video games, and how can we nurture these?
Thank you, Ingeborg. That's a great question, and I was very impressed by Amanda's presentation earlier as well, and I think there was a lot of food for thought in that, also regarding the skills part. This is an important year for skills. It's the European Years of Skills, and we're very involved in this area as the video game sector. Video games are a unique channel to learn through play. I think many different skills can be achieved through video game play. Some of the most well-known are, of course, social skills, language skills, decision-making, emotional skills, etc. Also through more directed learning, for instance, when you have games in schools, you, for instance, have skills such as improved literacy, numeracy, and concept-based learning. Perhaps skills that are a little bit less known, that can also be achieved through video game play, is also the social school inclusion. So we see that students that may have difficulties with learning, their video games, when they're used in the educational space, can help them to, for instance, do error identification in a non-traumatized way. They can find their own ways of learning. They can also learn rules. So we're seeing quite interesting skills, whether that are soft skills or more specific skills that can be achieved through using playing games, simply. Now, to acquire these new skills, there is, of course, a community that we really need to nurture, and that's the teachers. They're absolutely crucial in the space. Since 2006, Video Games Europe lead a project called Games in Schools that is run and executed by the European Schoolnet. And that is a 6-week MOOC course that teach teachers on how to use games in the classroom. So as a complement to the curricula. And through this, they can, in an interactive way, they can, for example, teach history, math, collaborative skills, they can do teamwork, they can achieve challenges together, and simply soft skills that are really important today, working together as a team online as well. This course is really popular. Every edition attracts several thousands of teachers across Europe. We have had a huge participation from Portugal, by the way. So that's really interesting. And I think that also shows, that participation also shows that there is really a need from the teachers' communities also to be upskilled with new skills to be relevant in the classroom. The handbook now, which is called the Games in Schools Handbook, is currently out since September and also include lessons plans. It's been translated into a number of languages.
Great, thank you so much. We often lack the industry perspective, so I think that was very, very insightful. My next question goes to Renate. Of course, when we talk about skills, we're not just thinking about empowerment or participation, but also about online safety protections and well-being. Do you think that the Digital Services Act, the DSA, will be a game changer within this context? And what are the key areas where you think we will see a meaningful change? And what should we all in this room do to make citizens aware of their rights?
Thank you for the question. I personally really think that the DSA can be a game changer. As I said, that we are already seeing some first steps. But what is also clear is that what the Digital Services Act does, in particular for the very large online platforms, those that have more than or at least 45 million users in the EU per month, and we have designated at the moment 19 of them, and all the big ones are in there. So it's really the key platform kind of space that we are occupying here. They will really have to engage with us in a very regular interaction, which means yearly risk assessments that will be kind of assessed, much more transparency, access to their data also by researchers. So Amanda and kind of others will in the future get direct access to the data, which was at the moment a big black box that they didn't get into. The systemic risks that the platforms will have to kind of report on include issues such as, mental health. There are clear kind of obligations to increase the privacy, safety, protection of minors. So they will have to come up with ideas and with concrete kind of concepts. But I believe, it's not only an important relationship between the Commission as the digital regulator and the platforms, it's also a broader ecosystem that we are creating here. And that will be important to make everybody more aware of the changes and also of the rights and the obligations under the new platform rules. Because we will need the input of many, because research will develop. We heard some of the questions also that were put. It's early days to really kind of have a full assessment of the impact of, online safety on mental health. The new platform rules will allow us to have a much more privileged and more informed discussion about that in the future, and it will certainly have an impact on how we go about regulatory choices that we might take in the future and what kind of we impose on platforms when applying the DSA on a day-to-day basis. We did actually in June this year a first kind of big DSA conference. So this was before the rules really started applying to the platforms, and it included so many different actors, NGOs, trusted flaggers, academics, law enforcement authorities, of course the authorities in the member states, us in the Commission, and it was great to see the platforms, of course, themselves. It was great to see that even before the rules kicked in, we already saw the ecosystem emerging, and I think that can be very powerful. And then we have to bring it, of course, also to events like this one, and many other kind of, events where we simply talk about it. And I would also add one aspect. I think also, critical media will be important, because we also have to showcase, we have to communicate about it, and we have to kind of, see that also, journalists in their daily work kind of, pay attention to this kind of changing online environment with the new rules.
Thank you, that was very insightful. So, Lydia, you talked earlier about the risks and priorities that you see from an education point of view. How do you think the DSA and other relevant EU rules to protect minors will help to address these challenges? Do you think there's a role for education within this context?
Thank you, Einborg. In the European Union, several measures have been implemented to protect and empower children and young people regarding digital environments. I would like to highlight the European Strategy for a Better Internet for Kids that support the work of safer internet centers. And I would like to emphasize the importance of the safe and open networks through these years. The Digital Services Act is a regulation that aims to supervise internet platform and digital service. We consider this a very important measures, special to protect children in the digital environments. We are discussing the benefits of this regulation with several national entities to define the new steps to take at the national level. After this discussion with these different national entities for implementing Digital Services Act in Portugal, we intend to carry out an informative campaign in schools in collaboration with partners from Safer Internet Center, of course, to keep children and young people protected in the digital environments. We will disseminate this campaign through schools, leaders, and teachers, ensuring that it reaches students so they become aware and discuss this regulation.
So thank you very much. Thank you for sharing your expertise. If I am correct, the DSA will come into full enforcement from the 1st of January 2024. Is that no?
No. The DSA, is in force. What we are doing is we have already designated a first batch of very large online platforms, 19, in April. For them, 4 months later, so end of August, for them the rules started applying. What will only enter into kind of existence is the full governance structure around the DSA. So we are kind of in charge of the large platforms, but there are also many smaller platforms that do not meet that threshold of 45 million. And for them, the national digital service coordinators will be in charge. And member states are at the moment preparing for that, so they have to identify authorities to become the national digital service coordinator, to also arrange how that coordinator works with other competent authorities. And that will create together the Digital Services Board, and that will come into place only on the 17th of February next year. And then the full system is in place, but they apply already now. That's why we can push the platform so much.
Great, so in light of this information, Anne, what changes are you expecting as a result of the DSA already being enforced in the game industry, and how have you prepared for this in the gaming industry specifically? And do you think that it will actually improve the outcomes for young people and mitigate the challenges that we are currently facing?
Thank you, Salma. So yes, as I said previously, so the DSA is a really important piece of legislation, and I think that for one of the first time, we see that there is real enforcement also happening on the side of the Commission, with significant means being deployed on that level as well. So that will impose, of course, obligation on many companies, video game companies included. So there's active preparation on, of course, complying with the DSA, such as publishing annual moderation, transparency reports, etc. For our sector, the DSA is also important from another perspective, because the video game sector is a creative entertainment sector that rely on copyright. So there are also other things in the DSA that is really key for our sector. So the video game sector introduced standards back in 2007 that strongly aligns with the fundamentals of the DSA today. So I would think that a big part of the video game ecosystem is quite well prepared already. So since the state, something called the PEGI Code of Conduct, they are signatories that offer online interactions such as in-game chat, to have tools and safeguards in place to protect minors from both harmful and illegal content. These include tools such as age gating, reporting tools, filtering software, etc. For those that do not know PEGI, it's the Pan-European Game Information System that provides the age-appropriate age labels for games and content descriptors. And around 40,000 games have been labeled with a PEGI label today, and it's used in 38 countries. And I know that PEGI is here somewhere in the room. I know that Dirk Bosman is here, but I can't see him. So regarding challenges that young players face when they play games. So yesterday, I asked my Selma, my 10-year-old daughter, about what does playing games means for you. And she's limited. She doesn't yet interact online, etc. We have set common rules on that. And she said, well, Mummy, you discover new worlds, you have to navigate. They're really beautiful, you have to conquer stuff. And I can be the character I want to be. And it's just fun. Why are you asking? So that was the response I got from a 10-year-old. And I think that's important, because I think that brings us back to why we play games as well. And I think that's really important to remember this. So, there are games that are called what we call multiplayer games, that are games that allow for online interaction with others. Not all games allow for this. We wanted to know how young people interacted when playing multiplayer online games. So we asked Ipsos to conduct a survey on this. And we looked at how many do play such games, do they communicate with others, do they use reporting tools, muting tools, etc. So we discovered that the vast majority do not play multiplayer online games. About 70% do not play such games. Among those who did, there was a high awareness among the young players of the reporting tools. And when they used these tools, they had a good experience. They found it efficient, etc. But as we saw from Amanda, of course, young people, we also saw that they may develop other ways of dealing with inappropriate content or content that they don't like, or if they're bullied, etc. So you see that this sort of resilience is also developing. There are different ways of dealing with that as well. But of course, these reporting tools must be really, really accessible. So just sharing that perspective on the online safety part.
Great, thank you so much. We are at the end of our questions. I think this panel was a perfect example of the multi-stakeholder approach that we should be pursuing. We kind of saw the different perspectives, and this is exactly the kind of thing that we currently need in order to have a safer internet. So thank you so much for everything that you've shared with us. Thank you to our panelists for being here, and
so now we will have a coffee break. I will ask everyone to please be back in the room by 11:20 for a session with young influencers. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Okay. Hi, everyone. Welcome back to our second panel discussion. Before we start, I'd like to mention that we do have a graphic illustrator in the house, so keep an eye out for that. Okay, my name is Emily. I'm from Cyprus. I'm very excited to have such a fantastic panel here for us today. They all have a very real variety of perspective that they're going to share with us today, and demonstrate how young people make a difference in the digital world.
Hello, my name is Guilherme. I'm 14 years old. I'm from Portugal. Today, we will have young people that since always have played a big role in the internet, but over the years, they've had more and more spotlight. Today, we want to give young people voice, not only with our big youth panelists, but also with a panel the CIF Youth Advisory Group put together today. This panel has a real variety of perspectives with a number of inspirational young people. Each of them, in their own remarkable way, demonstrates the difference the young people can really make in a digital world. Today with us, we have Bianca Adam. She has been a content creator for over 10 years. She's the biggest female YouTuber in Romania, with over 3.5 million followers in all her social media. Also, we will have Kate Grant. She is the first ever Irish model with Down syndrome. Her journey is really inspiring.
We also have with her her mother, Deirdre Grant, who advocate for inclusion and diversity. And we also have with us Teresa Krakmarova, who is a little bit different from our panel, but she still has some very valuable perspective. She's a media literacy educator and head of Fakescape Association. So I'd like to open a question to the whole panel about whether you could talk to us about your work and your experience in your field. If we could start with you, Kate.
Hi everyone, I'm Kate Grant. I'm from North Ireland. I am 25 years old. I am the first official model in Ireland and UK. I had a Down syndrome. My journey has been a challenging one. I was a challenge is the society's pre-eruptions of people with disabilities. I believe not different is beautiful, not less. With this brief and a determined and a deep praising in my way, this me in the board here. I take place on my way. I bring awareness for inclusion and diversity to modeling world and beyond. Before I had a social media platform, I was thought of someone of no worth or attentions. And after just one post started this change overnight. Not only for me and the post, no question. For people with Down syndrome and with disability is included in diversity. The post in no question has a posted by my mum. That's my mum here. On my social media was a formal photo, and it went viral for days. Shortly, I was invited to the radio shows or catwalk in Belfast or London Fashion Weeks, which is a huge achievement. This encouraged me, and my mission is to help society change their thoughts of people with disability and become aware of that what they can do and what they couldn't do. Please don't judge. A book is not in a cover. I come here today to let you know I am a model to raise awareness for this. I have a voice for who can't have a voice, but they're not here today. I have the same hopes, dreams, and aspirations like everyone else in this room. Why should I be treated differently? And my quote is, different is beautiful, not less. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. If we could open the same question to the rest of the panel. So could you describe your work to us, your experience in your field?
Sure, thank you. Thank you for your amazing speech, and also thank you for inviting me here. I'm glad that I can be here and talk about my work because I work as a media literacy educator, and I'm a president of the association Fakescape that we created like 5 years ago. And basically what we do is that we teach media literacy, cybersecurity, and digital skills via games. So we go to schools, we've visited almost 400 schools, we have workshops in Czech language, but also in Slovak, English, and Polish. And we are trying to reach as many people as possible. We started with workshops for students, But at this moment, we also target younger people or younger children, but also elderly people or basically anyone, because our games are also available to anyone. So anyone can, for example, buy our card games or download our workshop sheets and just do the games by themselves with their families, with their friends. So that's basically what we do. Why? Because we feel that there is a lot of disinformation, misinformation, hoaxes online. And also we feel that it's even more important to teach these things while everyone is on social media. And there is a lot of this kind of false information on social media, and every young person can be targeted by that and can actually believe anything what's online. So that's why we do that. We had to adapt a bit because we really started with media and how to, for example, deal with information on media, on newspapers. At this moment, we focus more on social media, on TikTok, on Instagram Reels, or other platforms that are more popular within young people. Thank you.
Bianca, can you briefly describe your work as an influencer, and particularly what you are doing on the topic of well-being?
For sure. First of all, I want to thank you for the invitation and for everything that you do to make the world a better place. And also, thank you guys for your stories. They are really amazing and fulfilling. So, hi, I am Bianca, or as people may know me better, Tequila. The mood, not the drink. I am an online content creator for already more than 10 years. And I started on YouTube, which established my name somehow, and which probably I will never leave. Currently, because we need as content creators to adapt, I'm online on every platform. But over the years, I tested several types of content in various niches. But at the core, everyone had the same purpose: to make my audience feel the well-being that I'm giving in those creations. Two of my biggest personal projects are on YouTube. One of them is called Object Hunt or Treasure Hunt, where I invite two teams of public persons. They have to compete with each other, give each other a list of 5 random objects. They have to find them, and when I say random, I mean really random, like things on the street, from people from the street and everything like that. And the other one, my loved one and the hardest to make, is called Romania Express. They have also 2 teams, a blue one and a red one, formed of public persons that I invite. They have to leave Bucharest to arrive in another city, but by hitchhiking. They have to do a bunch of challenges, hard challenges. And for this project, I now have a team of almost 20 people, because it is a lot of work for this type of productions. But for my soul, I also approach subjects on my YouTube channel that are about therapy, about self-development, and so on, because I really think it is important, if I grow, to show them the way I grow, what I learn. And currently I'm also a student in the University of Psychology in Bucharest. I applied to this one just because I want to understand my community better, to understand their personalities, and how can I help? Also, because of that, 1 year ago, I made a short documentary that is called How I Cured My Anxiety. This being one of the problems of our generation. I truly believe that it is important to support the direction of a safer internet for my audience, because there are bad things, there are bad sides, and I also think that there is solutions. There are solutions for them. First of all, following the internet as a small child, I realized over time that this transition from long-term videos from YouTube to short, vertical, fast and continuous format leads to an increased need of content consumption. And because of the dopamine shots that we're getting after every single video and colorful video we see. And you may say, okay, us as content creators, we need that. We want people to see our videos, to enjoy. We make views at the end of the day. Everyone is happy. But things are not quite like that. Why? Because we know no excess is good. So is this with this excess of online presence. And we know that there is also a solution for this fast internet consuming. In my point of view, I know you heard that before from our mothers. They always tell us, don't stay that much on that phone. That's the problem for your headache and everything. But it is right. The best solution is to reduce the time on these scroll-based apps, and for my audience, if I have to give them an advice, is to be careful who they follow. And when I say that, I don't mean that a content creator can be good or bad, but it can meet your needs or not. And at the end of the day, you have to ask yourself as a follower if you feel fulfilled or drained after everything that you consumed online in that day. And if you feel drained, you may have to clean your feed, to clean your content that you're watching. And to give a more accurate example, I'll give myself as an example. So, recently, among my YouTube videos that has a narrative, that has a story, that gives you a whole experience if you fully watch the whole video, I also posted a short vertical format in which I tried, and actually I did, some skateboarding tricks. Skateboarding being one of my passions. And my advice for my community would be, if you watch that video, if you already saw that video, try to stop and not continue to look at the next videos on my page. Try to stop and learn from that. And as you saw, myself finding my passion, skateboarding, try to follow yours. Try to divide the time in a way that you can find yourself, and by that we can understand that internet should remain a place where we get inspired to find ourselves more than we lose ourselves.
Thank you so much. I'm so sorry because we're running low on time.
Thank you.
We have 2 more questions for the rest of our panel, and that will conclude. So I'd like to ask Kate and Deirdre if you could describe any challenges you faced, especially your role as a mother. We would be very happy to hear that.
Hi everyone, my name is Deirdre and I am a mother of 4 young adults. My husband and I, John, we raised and taught our children to reach their full potential. And with Kate, it was no different. When Kate was born, the thought at that time with in society was that anyone with a learning disability had no worth to contribute to society. When Kate reached her full potential, she changed that. She put that thought on its head as she aspired to go through the glass ceiling, and she showed society just what people with a disability can do with a little bit of belief, support, and encouragement. And unfortunately for you poor people, I am just a mum, and I was forced into this world of social media where I felt like a fish out of water. I was surrounded by young people that really didn't have time to show me how to work social media. They did, you do this, 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 and that. That's all I was ever told. So I had to learn, and I was on a steep learning curve. Now, there was various challenges, especially with Kate. I had to put Kate on the various social platforms, and those social platforms were all public because she was an influencer. There was positive and negatives on each of the ends of social media, as we've all heard here this morning, and I'm not educated enough in that field to point them out, but I can only tell you from my personal experience. Social media for Kate was on the good side. It brought her more awareness globally to what is possible and to focus on what people with disabilities and learning disabilities can do. And as Kate models, she is an advocate for that. Now, on the downside, Kate has a great family network. She has 2 brothers and a sister, and they would check daily on Kate's social platforms for really hackers and hate mail. Now, as a mum, whenever you read something very detrimental that you know will have a mental impact on your daughter or would be extremely hurtful, the tagger comes out in the mother, but I don't react. I can't react because that's what that person wants you to do. We shield Kate from this. In a way, she is aware that everyone doesn't get her, and she is aware that the world is so different, and that's what makes the world beautiful. But we do look after her social media, and we try to make it as positive journey for Kate as possible.
Going back to Kate, use your online platform to advocate for inclusion and diversity for people with disabilities. Do you think that people in vulnerable groups face more difficulties online? I'd just like to ask to keep your answer in the 3 minutes limit because we're short on time.
I think she wants me to answer that. I think it's hard for anyone with a physical or learning disability to navigate around. social media are to break it down into simpler forms of understanding. Now, I know there is a lot of programs out there that do have the instructions on an easier, user-friendly for people with a learning disability, and that is very helpful. And I'm so blessed that my son is actually, he is a computer scientist, and he is actually doing a program at the moment for people with a learning disability that will make things a lot easier. So, you know, I think as a mum and for teachers and anyone that has influence on people from a very young age, I think it starts from the child and in the household, that if you teach them to treat social media and social platforms with respect and always be aware of the dangers, that will follow through all through their life.
Thank you. And one last question for our panel, for Teresa. We mentioned that you are president of Fakescape, which aims to make media literacy more attractive and more fun. Could you tell us what do you think needs to be done for young people to be safe online, and where do you think that responsibility lies?
Sure, so there is more ways how to actually approach this question, so I will try to be brief and to mention everything that I think is important. So firstly, because it's a panel about influencers or with influencers, I would really say that influencers are at this time something as role models for young people. And it's very important that those people actually share information which is somehow verified and which is reliable. And also that influencers think about their influence, because it doesn't matter that we, for example, say that we cannot target advertisement online on children if the influencers still keep posting product placements of things that should not be maybe done by children. So that's one of the things. So it's influencers who can be more responsible, and I believe that some of them already are, but not all of them. The second part, I would say, is parents. And I would maybe follow on the first keynote speech that was said by Amanda, that it's important to actually talk with children and talk with them about what they do on the internet, and to build this trust and to build this safe space that when they are not sure about some information online, they will come to you as a parent and maybe ask you, what do you think about this? How can I evaluate this information? How can I actually verify it? So really make this safe space. Don't tell them that they are stupid because they believe something was wrong, but be more like, oh, I can help you with this one, and anytime you need to help, you can just approach me again. The third branch or third responsible actor are educators, teachers. I know that it's very hard to teach media literacy and digital literacy at the age where every week there is something new happening. We have AI, we have so many things that are changing so fast. So maybe even the teachers can listen more to children, actually learn from them. I know it's hard, but sometimes the children can be the best teachers when it comes to social media and what they do on them and how they work with the information online. And the last but not least, it's also something like on national or international level. Let's say some actors, let's say governments or European Parliament, European Commission. I think that it's important that those institutions communicate clearly and that they also focus on young people, because if we have clear information, we don't tend that much to actually find any alternative sources. And it doesn't apply only for adults, but also for young people and children, because if we feel that we are involved and that you communicate with us, we don't then need to search for another alternative sources. Thank you.
Just to finish, we have a question for Bianca. You have over 3.5 million followers online. What role do you think influencers like you have in empowering young people to be responsible online citizens?
So, I really believe that as a content creator, we should always be aware of the influence that we have on our communities and to constantly research as much as possible every subject and topic that we're talking about. And I often realize that what I say, how I say it, the way I speak, the character I present, the personality I have on the camera can be easily picked up by the younger generations. So I have decided to show them the best version of myself in order to help them discover their own. And the skills I think I needed along the way were perseverance, were consistency, adaptability, self-development, and for sure the desire to evolve. And another skill that I don't know if I should call it a skill or not, but for sure it helped me on the way was hate management, because starting at an early age, I was an easy target of hate speech and everything like that on internet, because back then the internet was not such a restricted place. So what the drive that helped me was limitless passion and understanding that other people's opinions does not define me. And nowadays, internet bullying is still present, but thanks to people that get involved, there are official support lines in Romania for internet victims of bullying, and which I consider extremely helpful. But we have to work a bit more to live in the society we dream about, full of happy and safe people.
We now have time for some questions from the public. If anyone has any question, we're out of time already, so...
I'm so sorry. We have no time. Thank you for bearing with us. We will have one final remark, and then that will be it. We will introduce this youth panel, but for now, one final remark.
Sorry, I was trying to say something was, if you want to follow me in Instagram, Facebook, or TikTok, it's under K-pop model. Thank you.
Thank you everyone for this amazing share. We will now pass the stage to the Big Youth Panel 2023.
a few moments later. So, good morning, everybody. We are Sania
and Gabriele from Italy.
and welcome to the Safer Internet Forum 2023. So, we are here in Brussels introducing our very, very first performance. So glad and honored to be here after months and months of meetings and preparations.
So first of all, we would like to thank you everybody to be here, and as well as the expert that followed us during this month.
And of course, everybody here from 23 countries all over Europe by the Safer Internet Centers. So really, guys, thank you, everybody, because together we had the opportunity to realize all this performance all together, and now we are going to introduce it.
So the internet is a huge and universal platform where geographical boundaries, that goes over geographical boundaries, providing access to individuals regardless of their interest, location, or capabilities.
Exactly. But although we are talking about universal platforms, we have to say that sometimes, or better, lots, too many times, we really cannot understand each other. It looks like we really cannot understand each other, and at the same time, everybody looks in their bubble. So it looks like that a word that for you is fine, that you write on a post, maybe can just hurt someone else.
And that's why we decided to start our performance close to our phones, close in our bubbles, as we are in the internet world.
But now, Gabriele, it's time of the actual performance. So we decided to divide this performance in 3 parts, which actually are the parts of the 3 words of our slogan, which are
empower,
inspire,
and transform.
But you may probably asking, why do we choose this type of slogan? Well, we chose this slogan because, first of all, it gives you a direct message that actually show how to behave on the internet, and most of all, how the internet should be all about. But with this slogan, we want to really spread a message of hope and make you aware that although the internet is facing with lots and lots of problems, remember that the issues have solutions, and the hope never is lost. So just show for now on, remember, all your power and all your hope.
So based on what we said about our slogans, for each of it, we created a small sketch of 5 minutes, not just to speak, but to really show what is our mission.
Exactly. Ladies and gentlemen, we don't want only to speak about safer internet. We want to empower and inspire everybody to transform at the best way the place where we spend more time in it, which is the internet as well.
So to each sketch, we choose a bad phenomenon we have online to really show you the different reaction of young people and making you realize how words can be really harmful.
And most of all, how much do we have to transform for a better internet for kids? So we hope you enjoy it.
So now you were probably wondering, what are these emojis on your table?
Well, don't you think you can just be a spectators? We want you to be the main characters of our performance.
So that's why we encourage you to actively engage and express your sentiments about what you are experiencing.
So, ladies and gentlemen, choose the emoji that best represents your feelings during our 3 sketches and be active participants during the Safer Internet Forum Conference.
So show us your emoji and enjoy.
Enjoy it.
So, good morning everyone. As Sunny and Gabriele said, today we'll be watching 3 scenes, each regarding a problem the younger internet users are now facing. So, The first one will be regarding cyberbullying. Let's see how something so bad like this very much problem can actually impact and influence the future of youngsters. Let's take a look at the first sketch.
Helen, hi.
Hi, Killian. Oh, it's so nice to meet you again.
Yeah, how are you?
I'm quite good, actually. Do you remember those pictures we took yesterday?
Yeah, you want to see them?
Yes, please. I think we should post some of them.
Okay, so you have this one.
Ah, I really do like that one.
Yeah.
But you know that one under it?
Look at this
That
one.
That one's really
We
good.
are so cute on it.
Ah, yeah, thank you. And the lighting is so good. We should definitely post that one.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sure.
Shoot, I have to get to class, but I will see you later, okay?
Okay, goodbye.
Killian decides to post the image on his social media, and comments underneath the post start arising. The two friends arrive to home from school and start reading the comments separately, and the reactions seem good.
On the one hand, approving comments complimenting the two friends start appearing, and the two friends seem very pleased with the outcome of their post, considered, according to the comments, beautiful and marvelous.
On the other hand, though, some negative aspects of the posts start being emphasized, and some extremely insulting opinions begin to appear in the comment section, leading to different reactions from the two friends. Well, there's one. Audience, how would you feel if you were in Kellyan or Helen's shoes? Why don't you let your emojis speak for themselves? I think our reaction is quite consensual, right?
The two friends are struggling to react to the negative reactions to the post. The comments displayed are, in fact, obscene and absolutely do not contribute to making the friends happier or more glad that they posted that photo, which can lead to dramatic effects and consequences for the two friends.
Helen presents herself as extremely sad and starts compulsively crying without having the strength to lean on a friend. Cyberbullying can cause a lot of stress, anxiety, and put people into bad mental state, leading to depression and lower self-esteem, for an example.
The bad comments keep coming, and Helen seems very, very sad. But Kellyan, on the other side, seems to be way more able to manage his emotions and is much more proactive. And although facing a complicated situation, he's found in himself the courage to actually speak up and actually come to a friend, Helen, with whom he made a post, and explain how he feels, how he's very demotivated by the number of bad comments appearing on the comment section. But Helen hasn't been online for so long. Why is that? Well, Kellyan asked that question as well and thought, well, maybe Helen is actually very sad, or she's not being able to deal with the fact that these comments are very, very aggressive. So he decides to ask her if she's okay, if she's actually being able to deal with these so complicated emotions. Let's see what happens.
After explaining how he feels, Kellyan asks Helen if she feels comfortable and okay about the negative comments underneath the image. Helen now feels safe and explains that the comments really got to her and made her felt very uncomfortable.
So, Helen is currently being emotionally supported by Kellyanne, and her negative emotions start to ease a little, and a powerful and empowering message is spread between the two friends.
What we just saw is the power of words, and what we could do, just a few of them. We can have people ready to take on the world. No matter what others say about them, words can bring people down and lower their self-esteem, but also they can lift their self-esteem and make people happier. So, the next day, the friends meet in school, happier and better than ever.
Hi.
Hi.
You okay?
I think so. I don't know. It quite sucked what happened yesterday. I was really confident about that picture as well.
Yeah, but you know, yesterday when you text me back, I was really relieved. So thank you, really.
Thank you for contacting me. It really helped to talk to you. It really helped me. Thank you for that. And I've thought a little bit about it, and I think we should post one of the others, because we can't let those people on the internet define us. We should post one of the other later.
Yeah.
But I have to run, but we should get together after school and post the
Yeah,
other
definitely. Goodbye.
one. Bye.
And so, this was our first sketch. As you saw, cyberbullying can truly affect the minds of young people. So, audience, after this very complicated situation, we've come across a solution, and the two friends now feel more confident to post again and actually to go on to the real world and just feel happy. How do you feel about this solution? Now I see some more positive reactions. We like to see that. So, this was indeed the end of our first sketch. And what we want to spread across with this is that we can empower youngsters and we can help them come across difficult situations. Now, always remember, what might be fun to one can be truly, truly harmful for another. So, just keep this in mind going forward. Be kind and help others. We don't need much to make a big difference. Now, let's turn to the second sketch. Let's see how the internet can truly inspire us daily and make us overcome difficult situations like this. Let's take a look at the second sketch.
Inspiration is everywhere, and we can especially see this on social media. Therefore, we will now show you two different stories where we can show the difference between negative and positive inspiration in the world of social media advertisement. Our first act puts light on the more darker side of it. We will meet an influencer, Jeremy the Trickster, where the line between deception and genuine talent blurs.
Hey, what's up, guys? So today I got this drink with me, and with this drink you can live these amazing ways. It helps you a lot, it gives you energy. And with this drink too, you can get this amazing power. Link in bio, it's only €5.
Vincent tried to lift up the weight, but he couldn't. He opened up his phone and saw this video that will help him gain strength, and he orders it. The package arrives. He opens the box and he opens the drink with excitement. Thinking now he will finally be able to lift the weight. When he drinks and tries to lift it, He realizes that it doesn't really help him at all and thought it's a scam. So audience, how do you feel about this?
Getting scammed is something more and more people experience online due to the development of online selling. It is getting easier for people to abuse customers. More generally, influencers have a real power over their audience, especially when they are young and they don't have the ability to double-check the facts. Thankfully, we also can find a lot of good influencers, such as the one we heard today. They share content and advices that can inspire their followers, and this is what we will see in the second scene.
Hello everyone, welcome to the Maya Bookstore, and today I would like to tell you about this amazing book that I just received a few days ago. It's called 9 Lives, and just look at this cover, it's so pretty. I just loved it the first time I saw it. I couldn't put it down. It's written in a simple language, but it's also so inspiring. I just loved it. I don't want to spoil the story too much, so yeah, I'll just recommend it to you. You can get 10% off by clicking in the link in the description below and using code ILOVEBOOKS10. Thank you for watching this video and see you in the next one. Bye!
Carolina has just received the package and opens it right away. She's going through the pages with big interest. This book made a big impact on her and definitely was a very inspiring read. And now, dear audience, how do you feel about this situation?
Influencers wield significant impact on their audience, shaping opinions and trends. While someone provides valuable content and inspire their followers, others may promote unrealistic content, unrealistic standards, or questionable products, as you could see in the first video. The danger lies in the potential for misinformation and negatively impacting their followers. This was the inspire part. Now we are moving on to the transform part.
Here's what we're looking at right now. We have a group full of snobby teenagers, a vlogger, a depressed little girl, and even a businessman on the right side of the couch. On the left side, we get to see two girls that are so tired of the internet brainwashing people so much. But even though their feelings are mutual, they react to this frustration in different ways.
We had to do those reports yesterday, weren't they? I'm waiting for them. Welcome to a new video. I'm doing tomorrow.
Hey! Oh my god, I'm getting so tired of this.
Why though?
Why? Because this social media is so boring. I can't do anything with it anymore.
And she's right. If you do look at the right side of the cable, you can see everyone being completely isolated by the internet and not even talking to each other.
Yeah, I don't want to be this way.
Well, what can she do about it?
I think I have an idea. Let me try it. Hello? What do you want? Just look around. Nobody's even talking to you.
She is so weird. Guys. Hey!
one person can transform an entire group of people. The internet is a great and amazing place, but we can't live on our screens all the time.
What you just witnessed was a very quick example of how an individual can transform a whole group of people influenced by the internet, with different needs, interests, and everyday activities. Let's see what the emojis have to say about that. Beautiful. Let's keep transforming people. Everyone, thank you.
Hello everyone, my name is Vibeke.
And I'm Seran.
And we're here to provide you with some facts about some quite serious topics. Now, we hope that by the end of this you will all have had some food for thought. And during the performance you will be asked to stand up as a representation of the statistics you will see on the screen. Just follow the instructions from the young people who will very soon, hopefully, I can see them moving, be seated at your tables. So, Søren, should we start?
Yeah, let's do it. So, 14% of children from the age from 9 to 16 have been cyberbullied. This might not seem like much, but in this room, that would correspond to 24 of you guys. So I'd need to stand up, looking at the numbers, please, and look at your table numbers. Thank you very much. Every incident leaves lasting marks on children who experiences these. This can lead to very serious mental health issues that no child should have to endure ever in their life. But this is, of course, only relevant to how many children?
Well, no less than the 77% of 15 to 16-year-olds who use social media every single day.
That's a lot of people, isn't it?
Yeah, it's the same as 131 of you guys.
Wow.
Yeah, look around.
That's a lot of people. Yeah, thank you so much. You can sit down.
Every day, 77% of your children are faced with everything social media has to offer. It creates opportunities of connection, but also of addiction.
Actually, 10% of 12 to 16-year-olds feel like they can't control the use of the internet. This would correspond to 17 of you guys. Thank you so much. But they do want to get better. They want to change. But in order to achieve this, they will need the one and only help of you guys. You are responsible, or it is your responsibility, to create platforms mindful of children.
For example, by shielding them from hateful content, which 41% of 12 to 16-year-olds have witnessed.
That's a lot of hate to witness, right?
Yes, that would be 70 of you having been subjected to something horrible you shouldn't have to deal with.
A lot of people.
Yeah, quite a lot.
And these are children, right?
Right, they are exactly children.
Yeah, thank you so much. Just like the 22% of 12 to 60-year-olds who received sexual messages online.
And this is not just text, but also photos and videos.
And that would be 37 of you witnessing something like this before turning 18.
Just take a look around here, guys. So we're 19 and 17, and these are children even younger than us. This is children who are not supposed to face these things when they're just trying to connect with friends or people across the world on social media platforms.
Exactly.
This is children, guys.
Yeah, this could be your children as well. Thank you so much. You can sit down. Imagine having to comfort your own child going through something like this and explaining them why they weren't protected enough, or at least against, something so traumatizing much better.
Now, another issue is young people being lured into spending money on online games.
On online games?
Yeah, so actually 42% of 10 to 19-year-olds in Austria have spent money like this in the past year. That corresponds to 71 of the people in this room. If you would please stand up.
71 people
10
spending
to
money
19-year-olds.
on online games. Wow. Thank you so much. You can sit down. Thank you so much for playing in this quite serious game with us.
Yeah, we hope that you now understand that these are actual real-life children who are directly affected by this, and that they and we are not just some statistics you can overlook.
And a quick shout out to Brian for providing us with these statistics. Thank you so much, Brian.
Yeah, great. Thank you, Brian.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Guys.
Thank you so much.
Okay, so after the clear results we have thanks to statistical representations,
We are now ready to have our table discussions.
exactly. So we will be divided with 6 different topics, and actually the discussion will be 15 minutes long. So the topics are hate speech, cyberbullies, misinformation/disinformation,
Safe information, algorithm, and finally, scammers and hackers.
But why do we decide this type of topics? So, as you can see, they are so general that we have the opportunity to cover different topics and basic situations that we have in the internet nowadays.
These are the topics and phenomena that are of crucial concern to the youth who participate on the internet today.
But pay attention. Remember that we are here to make you feel the main characters. So really, feel comfortable to talk very freely, and most of all, engage with each of every one of the big youth panelists you have in front of you and everyone at the table. Really, feel comfortable.
Please feel free to express your opinions on your respective topics. This is the right channel to express criticism and your positions on these very important issues of the digital world.
Exactly, good point. But the topic that your table will actually discuss will be not chosen by you, but it will be chosen, you will be chosen by the youth panelists there.
6 members of the Big Youth panel will sum up the general responses from the participants at the end of the panel discussion, and we will be able to see how these topics are important and of concern.
So, please enjoy and feel comfortable to express your opinion.